Okay, let's unpack this. It's April 25th, 2025.
Right.
And we're well past the confetti and the champagne toasts.
Months passed.
Exactly. But our source material today, this PDF called newyears.pdf, it keeps coming back to New Year's Day. So it makes you wonder, why does that one day, which feels like ages ago now, still have such a hold on us globally?
That's a great question. I mean, we've been digging into this PDF, and the aim today is really to go beyond just the surface level, the parties and stuff.
Right, beyond the resolutions, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. To try and uncover the deeper cultural weight, the surprising sort of resonance this holiday actually carries.
And it feels like it taps into something really fundamental, doesn't it? Even just flipping through the source.
It absolutely does. You think it's just a calendar date, but the PDF shows these roots stretch way back.
Yeah.
Thousands of years.
Wow.
And it covers the whole evolution of how we even track time, plus this mix of, like, spiritual beliefs and just everyday habits. It's way more than January 1st.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe with that feeling of a fresh start. That seems pretty central.
Yeah, I think so. The PDF really emphasizes New Year's as this, like, global symbol for new beginnings. A chance to look back, but also look forward, set intentions.
And it feels almost universal, this need to mark time, to have these cycles.
It really does. It seems like a core human thing, creating structure, you know, making sense of life's progression.
And it's interesting that, as the source notes, it's become one of the biggest secular holidays worldwide.
That's a key point. That shared experience, the countdown happening almost everywhere at once, it creates this sense of global unity, doesn't it?
For sure. But it's not just modern parties. You mentioned history. The PDF talks about spiritual roots, superstitions.
Deep roots. This idea of cleansing, starting fresh on a deeper level, trying to bring in good luck for the year ahead. That's ancient.
How ancient are we talking?
Well, the PDF points back to ancient Babylon, like 2000 BCE. Yeah. They had a festival called Akitu, but it wasn't in winter. It was around the spring equinox, in March, honoring their god Marduk.
Spring. That actually makes a lot of sense. Renewal, rebirth, matching nature.
Exactly.
So how do we end up with January 1st, smack bang in the middle of winter for a lot of the world?
Right. Well, that jump comes later with the Romans, Julius Caesar specifically.
Okay.
Around 46 BCE, he introduced the Julian calendar, and that's when January 1st became the official start of the year.
Why January 1st? Was there a reason?
Symbolism, mostly. It was dedicated to Janus.
The god with two faces.
Precisely. Looking back at the old year, forward to the new. The god of doorways, transitions, time itself, it fits perfectly, doesn't it?
It really does. That image is so strong. So we have Caesar, but we use the Gregorian calendar now. The PDF mentions that jump too.
Yep. Fast forward quite a bit to 1582. Pope Gregory III introduces the Gregorian calendar, the one most of us use today.
And why they changed that?
It was mainly about accuracy. The Julian calendar had drifted slightly compared to the solar year, and it was messing up the calculations for the date of Easter, which was a big deal.
Okay. Religion driving calendar reform. Makes sense.
But even then, as the source highlights, January 1st wasn't instantly adopted everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, even in colonial America, celebrations were sometimes on different dates. It only became an official U.S. federal holiday in 1870.
1870. That's surprisingly recent, considering how ingrained it feels now.
It is, isn't it? Shows how traditions evolve and solidify over time.
Okay, so that's the history in broad strokes. Let's talk about what people do, the actual traditions.
Right, the fun stuff.
That countdown to midnight, it's everywhere. Fireworks, cheers, the kiss at midnight.
It's like a global script we all follow, in a way.
Why do you think those communal rituals are so powerful?
Well, there's the shared energy, the collective release, but the PDF also brings up the personal side, the resolution.
Ah, yes, the resolutions. Love them or hate them.
Right. But psychologically, the start of a new year acts as what they call a temporal landmark.
A temporal landmark.
Yeah, like a clear marker in time. It gives us this mental boost, motivates us to think about change, set goals for health, money, habits, whatever. It feels like a clean slate.
Even if it's just symbolic.
Exactly. It works for our brains.
And speaking of symbols, you can't talk New Year's without mentioning Times Square. That ball drop.
Since 1907, it's become this massive televised spectacle, a global focal point.
What makes that one so iconic, do you think?
I think it just perfectly captures that shared moment, that visual countdown that connects everyone watching. It's the anchor for many people.
And then there's the song, Auld Lang Syne.
Oh, yeah. That Scottish folk song, right? Robert Burns helped popularize it.
And somehow it's become the song for saying goodbye to the old year everywhere.
It's quite amazing, isn't it? Think about millions of people, different languages, different cultures, all humming that same tune about old friends and times gone by. It's poignant.
It really is. But the PDF also mentions other traditions, maybe less famous globally. Parades, those freezing cold polar plunges.
Yeah, the polar plunges. Those show how communities put their own stamp on the day, right?
How so?
Well, they often connect to local history or maybe raise money for charity. It shows that alongside the big global themes, there's all this local flavor and diversity in how people celebrate.
Right, making it their own. Let's shift to the senses. Music and food. Music seems huge for New Year's.
Definitely. The source mentions all sorts, from like Glenn Miller, big band stuff, to modern pop. Anything that feels uplifting or maybe a bit reflective.
And specific songs almost define the mood, don't they?
Totally. We talked about Auld Lang Syne for Farewell, but then you've got U2's New Year's Day, that's All Hope.
Or Prince's 1999 for just pure party mode.
Exactly. And ABA's Happy New Year is a bit more wistful, maybe. And the Zombies, This Will Be Our Year, pure optimism. Each song captures a different facet of the moment.
And there are those big musical events, too. The Vienna Philharmonic concert.
Very formal, very classic.
Versus something like New Year's Rockin' Eve in the U.S.
Much more high energy, keeping the party going. Shows the range of how music marks the transition.
Okay, let's talk food. The PDF has a whole section on lucky foods. This is fascinating.
It really is. Like black-eyed peas and greens in the southern U.S. for prosperity.
Why those specifically?
Peas look a bit like coins. Greens look like paper money. It's symbolic.
Clever. And lentils in Italy and Brazil.
Same idea. Resemble coins, bring wealth. Pork is another big one, symbolizing progress because pigs root forward.
Ah, I never knew that about pigs. What else?
The 12 grapes in Spain and Latin America, one for each chime of the clock at midnight.
For luck each month. That sounds stressful.
A little bit. And long noodles in Asia for a long life, round fruits in the Philippines for wealth. It's like edible hope.
The culinary language of wishes. Love that.
And you can't forget the bubbly champagne or sparkling wine is pretty universal for the toast.
True. Okay, what about nature? The PDF mentions plants and animals, too.
Yeah. Symbols of hope and renewal drawn from the natural world. Mistletoe and holly, often leftovers from Christmas, still signify peace, protection.
The evergreens, right, symbolizing life in winter.
Exactly. And then things like bay leaves or rosemary used in wishes or marigolds and oranges offered for good fortune and health in some cultures. It's drawing on nature's perceived power.
And animals.
Well, we mentioned pigs for progress.
Yeah.
Then you have the whole Chinese zodiac system tied to the Lunar New Year. And birds like doves or swans often symbolize peace or renewal. It's a rich symbolic layer.
So, thinking about the people who shaped the holiday, mention Caesar.
And Robert Burns for Auld Lang Syne. They're key historical figures.
Absolutely. Caesar set the date. Burns gave us the song. What about more modern figures?
Well, in the U.S. at least, Dick Clark became synonymous with the Times Square broadcast for decades.
Totally. An institution.
And now Ryan Seacrest has taken over that role. They become faces of the celebration in pop culture.
And pop culture moments themselves, like the Millennium Countdown, Y2K.
Oh, the Y2K panic. Seems funny now, but it was huge. That global focus on midnight, amplified by technology, really highlights the scale.
Yeah, and the iconic locations. Times Square is maybe #1 for the U.S.
But Sydney's fireworks over the Harbour Bridge and Opera House kick things off for many, a huge visual spectacle.
London's fireworks, too. Dubai's massive displays.
Right, at the Burj Khalifa. And then you have quieter, more spiritual traditions like the 108 bell rings at temples in Tokyo.
108. Why that number?
It's a Buddhist tradition meant to cleanse the 108 worldly desires or sins. Very different vibe.
Wow. And Rio. People wearing white, offering flowers to the sea.
Yeah, offerings to Yemanja, the goddess of the sea. Beautiful tradition. It just shows this incredible global range, doesn't it?
It really does. Even the words we use, Happy New Year, it's automatic.
Or cheers. Out with the old, in with the new. They're like little verbal rituals.
And those motivational phrases.
Yeah.
New year, new you.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
They tap right into that desire for self-improvement, the belief that this date offers a real chance to change.
Even the slang, like NYE for New Year's Eve, or the ball drop, midnight kiss. It's part of the cultural shorthand.
Definitely.
Let's go a bit deeper into the meaning. The PDF mentions philosophers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, talking about time.
Right, the Stoics, emphasizing how precious and short time is.
How does that connect to making resolutions?
Well, New Year's forces us to acknowledge time passing, so those ideas about making the most of the time we have, they really fuel that impulse to set goals, to direct our lives consciously in the year ahead.
In that temporal landmark idea again, psychologically potent.
Exactly. It gives us permission almost to reset.
And the fact that, because of time zones, the celebration stretches over 48 hours globally.
It really underscores how universal yet time-bound it is, a rolling wave of celebration.
Now, the PDF also smartly points out that January 1st isn't the only New Year.
Crucial point. Billions celebrate Lunar New Year, often called the Spring Festival, across East and Southeast Asia.
With completely different traditions, right? Red envelopes, lion dances.
Firecrackers, huge family feasts. It's based on the lunar calendar, tied to the turn of seasons in a different way.
And Nowruz, the Persian New Year.
Also tied to spring, the equinox. Ancient Zoroastrian roots, traditions like spring cleaning, gift-giving, the beautiful Haft-Sin table display.
So similar themes of renewal, just on different dates, different systems.
Precisely. And the PDF briefly mentions Diwali, Rosh Hashanah. Many cultures have their own points of spiritual or calendrical renewal. It's a fundamental human concept.
Thinking about January 1st specifically, though, its civic role. A federal holiday in the U.S. since 1870.
That gives it official weight. And governments often use the day for addresses, like the King's Speech in the UK. Sets a tone for the year.
Some countries even hold inaugurations then.
Yeah, it carries that symbolic weight for new beginnings, even politically. And charities often launch campaigns, tapping into that feeling of fresh starts and goodwill.
And literature, mythology. They're full of this stuff, too. The PDF had quotes T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, about words belonging to last year and next year. And Oprah on getting another chance. Tennyson's ring out the old, ring in the new.
Classic. These writers really capture the feeling.
They do. And the myths. We mentioned Janus. But also Baby New Year pushing out old father time.
Right. That image is everywhere. It personifies the whole transition.
Makes the abstract idea of time passing more concrete, more relatable.
Okay, the PDF ends with some really cool facts. First celebration in Mesopotamia.
Over 4,000 years ago. Puts our modern parties in perspective.
And 1 billion people watching the Times Square ball drop. That's staggering.
The scale is immense. And the ball itself, Waterford crystal, thousands of pounds.
Wild. And those other unique traditions, Scotland's first footing.
Yeah, the first person to cross your threshold after midnight, ideally bringing symbolic gifts like coal or whiskey for good luck.
Smashing plates in Denmark?
Apparently, a way to show affection for friends by leaving broken crockery on their doorstep seems counterintuitive.
Definitely different. And Japan soba noodles for longevity, and a big house cleaning.
Right, clearing out the old, literally. Makes sense.
And the history of Baby New Year imagery. Plus that statistic about resolutions. Only 8% success.
Ouch. Yeah, a bit sobering. Shows the gap between intention and action sometimes.
So wrapping this all up then.
Yeah.
It's clear New Year's Day is way more complex than it seems.
Absolutely. It's got this incredible depth history, spirituality, psychology, all woven together.
And expressed in such wildly different ways around the world.
That diversity is fascinating. From massive fireworks to quiet bell ringing to smashing plates.
It really makes you think about your own relationship with time, with new beginnings, doesn't it?
It does. How much are we influenced by these ancient ideas, these evolving traditions?
Maybe a good final thought for everyone listening is, which of these global traditions resonates most with you? Why?
Yeah, or maybe even look deeper into one of them, Lunar New Year, Nowruz. There's so much richness there. It might offer a whole new perspective on starting fresh.